Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we have a strange little claim by the SNP about independence because they haven't been talking about it. It's been noticeable. They haven't uttered a single word, not a dicky bird. And yet all of a sudden the manifesto's come out and said, oh, we're putting independence, on page 1, line 1 of our manifesto. Well, it's strange. They seem to be, I don't know, ashamed? Is the independence word toxic? Why haven't they been pushing that every time they're being interviewed? They keep going on about social matters, finance, the economy, things like that. The sort of things that are actually important. They haven't been talking about independence because it's not. But they've got problems within their own party. People are saying, why are you not pushing this independence line? And now they're being forced to. And of course, it's problematic for them. The problem being, of course, that they don't know how to deal with it. They want to push the independence because they believe in it, but they're aware of the perception. Let's take a look to see why all of a sudden they've changed their minds and independence is back on the menu, boys. Here goes. So independence will be on page 1, line 1 of the SNP manifesto, says John Swinney. Well, he says it. We haven't seen the manifesto yet. We'll have to wait and see. The First Minister said that the manifesto will offer a real vision of hope when it's launched next week. So it's being launched next week with maybe, 10 days to go before the election? Doesn't really give people time to absorb it, analyse it and point out all the flaws. Because believe you me, there will be many. Why are they so reticent? Why are they so hidey? They've had years to prepare. They must know that an election is coming. Why all of a sudden is it a rush job? Is it because they don't really know what they're doing? Probably. The First Minister said it will offer that vision of hope, but I cannot believe there's any hope. It's a hopeless party that's run out of road, run out of time, and certainly run out of ideas. Mr. Swinney said the SNP's plans will be a contrast to the continuing despair being offered by Westminster. Hang on a minute, you've been there 17 years. When it comes to continuing despair, you lot are the past masters of this. He said the Nats chief said his MPs would oppose spending cuts and proposed investment in public services like the NHS. Hang on a minute, again, 17 years. The NHS is an evolved matter. Why does the NHS all of a sudden need massive investment? You've had 17 years to put massive investment into it. Why haven't you? Is it because you've been spending the money on independence, foreign embassies and bullshit like that? Yes. Referring directly to his party's push for independence, the FM said the SNP believes separation will allow Scotland to match the success of our European neighbours. Are you kidding me? You've got no money. If you went independent tomorrow, you'd close down the oil and gas. You'd destroy your own fishing industries. These are your own policies, remember. This is not Labour. This is not Westminster. This is not the Tories. This is SNP policies. You would destroy the Scottish whisky industry with your high tariffs, taxes and things. You would see virtually everyone who is high-skilled, high-earner leave the country. The wealth would run over. Boom, gone like that. You'd hear the pop behind them as they disappeared. And you'd be presiding over, and I can only describe as a fourth world country. Because after all, there's third world countries with better education results. So you'd be worse than them. That puts you you'd be a failed state. We all know it. And so anything you say is all complete and utter rubbish. Anyway, he says, austerity, Brexit and the cost of living crisis were all made in Westminster. A lie. And in this campaign, the SNP is exposing just how much of these bad decisions have damaged Scotland. No, austerity was not made in Westminster. It was made basically by the banks collapsing in 2008, and there's never been a full recovery from that. I know it's getting on 20 years ago, but there's never been a full recovery from that. And then, of course, when the Russians invaded Ukraine, that upset all the oil and gas. That put the prices through the roof, and that, of course, affects everything. So, yeah, not really. That's all related. Brexit, I'll give you, but that's only because the vast majority of people in the United Kingdom voted to leave. And remember, the vast majority of Scots remained in the United Kingdom. Well, not the vast majority. The majority of Scots voted to remain in the United Kingdom. It was a UK vote. There you go. No getting away from that one. He said SNP MPs... You're assuming you have any. He said SNP MPs will stand fully against public spending cuts, whether they're Tory cuts or Labour cuts. Well, here's the thing. Look at your last election, John. You cut the funding in every single area of policy except one. That one being independence. That was the only department that got a real terms rise. Everyone else got a real terms cut. And you're moaning about Westminster cutting services. Have you seen, after your predecessor's light bulb bright idea of freezing council tax, have you seen the cuts the councils in Scotland have made because of SNP policy? No? Why aren't you talking about that? Is it too embarrassing, John? He said, fundamentally, we'll make the case that decisions about our future should be made in Scotland, for Scotland. Well, that seems a bit odd, considering they're desperate to get into the EU, where the future of Scotland will be decided in the Commission, for which you cannot vote them in, you cannot vote them out, and you have no say whatsoever. But they'll tell Scotland what to do. At least now in Scotland you've got MPs in Westminster who can fight your corner. Not the case in Europe that you're so desperate to get back into. So it won't be Scotland for Scotland. It'll be the EU taking on a vassal state. You'll be giving up every right and freedom you have so that you can go, hey, look at us subsumed into the European superstate. Where's all these people come from? As they force immigration onto you and you have got nothing to do about it. Oh dear, what a shame. Never mind. You voted for it. And of course, the moment you do get independence, ka-chunk, the wall goes up. Passports, visas. You ain't just walking in here, mate. Hey, well, that lorry, put it over here. Want to do an inspection? There's no free trade. The Irish problem is an Irish problem. It's specific because of historical problems that we've had. Scotland going independent and joining the EU. Chung. The EU are very strict about their borders. Anyway, it's all bollocks, isn't it? He's full of it. But here's the thing. All these highlighting all these problems. And yet, up until now, hitherto, they have not mentioned once during this campaign independence. But we know that there's people in the party who are saying, why aren't you pushing independence? Why are you know, the wide-eyed loons. Why aren't you pushing independence? So he's forced to put it there. And of course, the moment he puts it there, everyone is taking the piss. He's really a man out of his depth, isn't he? Look, there he goes. Look, I wonder who paid for that top. I bet that went down on expenses as well, as did the flight, as did the hotel, as did all his food and drink, as did his ticket to the game. Public paid for that. Taxpayers paid for that. How nice. How nice for this man, so out of touch with people, to get nice little jollies at the expense of the taxpayer. Makes you sick, doesn't it? Anyway, I shall come up. We'll round off. So there you go, living in absolute cloud cuckoo land. But isn't it funny? Not a mention of independence until the wild-eyed loons go, oh, independence, because they haven't had, they've not wanted to mention independence during the campaign because they know it's so weak. It's such the weakest part of why they even exist. Because anyone only has to quote numbers and finances and the economy and all these various reasons, and they're just done with it. They can't go forward. Now, come the election. You know, he's talking about, SNP MPs will do this, that and the other. Now, I hope that there aren't any SNP MPs. And it's up to you guys. Tactical voting, get them all out. What they're going to do then? They won't last a week without the money, will they? They're buggered. To be honest, I tell you what, if at the end, of the count and on the Thursday, the Friday the 5th, on the Friday morning, it was said that they had one MP and it was Joanna Cherry, I think I'd be happy with that. I think Joanna Cherry is probably the only MP they've got that I can stomach. I actually, to be fair, I like her. She's hardworking. She's decent. She stands up for, obviously she's SNP and she wants independence, and that's a different matter. But outside of that, out with the fact that she's an SNP who wants independence, look at everything else. She's actually a decent woman with decent beliefs. She stands for protection of women and girls against the trans. She works hard within her constituency. She's a very highly respected and very well educated and clever woman. I know it's weird, isn't it? Makes you wonder why she would join the SNP, being so clever. I feel her natural home would be Tory, to be honest. But That's what it is. But I like Joanna Cherry, and that's fine. And if she was the only MP, again, that's fine. And come the 2026 election, and if all the SNP were gone and they were left with one seat, I'd say please let it be Fergus for exactly the same reasons. He's a decent man, he's highly respected, and he's a hard-working constituency MSP. Respect, man. Respect for Fergus. Anyway, that's an ideal future. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.